As the 2023 election in Nigeria draws closer, the main opposition party, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, is yet to resolve some internal crisis within its fold. The Federal High Court, sitting in Abuja yesterday, extended the interim order it made on February the 2nd, which restrained the People's Democratic Party, PDP, and its leadership from taking steps to either suspend or expel the governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, from the party. At the resumption of the suit, the judge ordered parties in the suit not to take steps that would render the court's judgment worthless. Also, Governor Wike stated that the G5, also known as the Integrity Group within the People's Democratic Party, PDP, is not running out of steam, adding that the group will act out its plan in the February 25, 2023 presidential election. Meanwhile, PDP's Presidential Campaign Council for Atiku Abubakar has announced that the party has shelved its campaign rally in Rivers State to avoid bloodshed. The leading opposition party added that the governor, Nyesom Wike, has been undiplomatic through his actions and utterances. Joining us now from our Abuja studio to discuss PDP crisis ahead of the 2023 election is Daniel Bwala, spokesperson, People's Democratic Party Presidential Campaign Council. Good morning, Daniel Bwala. Good to have you on the program. I see that
Good morning, Dr. Abati.
You are specially attired today, perhaps to make a statement. The statement you are trying to make, you explain to us. Previously on this program, you brought a number of additions to the grammar of politics in Nigeria. Pantophobia, androphobia. I hope there is no phobia today. And you address the issue. I will start by helping us address the issue involving one, right, Senator Chimaroke Nnamani, who has also gone to court, saying that he was not given fair hearing and that the party cannot expel him from the party because he decided to campaign for the presidential candidate of the opposition, Bwala Tinubu, because he doesn't believe in the idea of Northern presidency after 8 years. And then Governor Nyesom Wike says the court should extend the interim order, and that has been extended till, I think, March 6th. And then, of course, both parties to the suit, counsel on both sides, agreed to that postponement. But it does look like both Nnamani and others, and also Governor Wike and others, are challenging the party. What options are available to the party beyond, in the face of this litigation? Yes.
Right. Thank you for having me. I know that the idea of the party is supreme was actually handed to the party by the court, because from 1999, all that political parties do was to apply the provisions of their constitution and they act accordingly. Then parties that are aggrieved will go to the court to seek interpretation of the constitution of the party and probably the conduct of the party against them. And over time, the court decided a straightforward law that the party is supreme. In fact, in the build-up to 2019 election, I remembered one of APC's case from Bayelsa, where it went to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court made it clear that the political party is like a club, that they run the club according to their rules. And if somebody is aggrieved with that party, the only option available to the person is to go and change club. Surprisingly, there are members of the party who still think that they can change what we call the case law regarding the supremacy of the party. The intriguing part of it all is actually not even going to the court, but it's about the antics of those individuals before going to the court. If you recall, Wike has said that he dared the party to suspend him. He dared the party to do this. He dared the party to do this. So all along you thought that he had a disposition where if the party suspended him, then he would be able to bring out what he thought he could do. But unknown to everybody, he ran like a dog with a tail between his legs to the court and is seeking the protection of the court. But what are the issues, like you rightly pointed out, Dr. Abati? These individuals are doing anti-party. The premise on which they are doing anti-party, they would like the world to know that it is on the basis of equity, fairness, and good conscience. They even named themselves as Integrity Group, but there is nothing integrity about the group, because all we know about integrity is forthrightness, it is candor, it is decorum, it is sincerity, and integrity encompasses the personality of the person as against the office they occupy. In other words, if you say somebody is a man of integrity, it means the person is living an exemplary life. What is it about him, about the group, that is exemplary? I give you case by case things that they said. Initially, he led people to believe that he believes in equity and that he was going to support Peter Obi, because he knows traditionally the people in his place, if they are not going to vote PDP and Atiku, the next alternative they have is Peter Obi. He took these months and misled them, and now changed his mind. He wants to support Tinubu. He didn't know how to go about it. He told the world, what is it about integrity? You tell the world, by January, I will announce my candidate. I will go around the country. I will campaign for him. January came and passed. You have not announced. You have not moved an inch. And you turned the sacredness of the office of the governor in Nigeria into a circus and an event of melodramatic expression of emotional exegesis that is not garnished or furnished by integrity and candor. If you look at Nigeria from 1999 till today, a good example is even the APC. You know, there are some renegades in APC that have taken the president to court, but look at their conduct. Are they behaving like the person who made it out to the world to see him as a man of integrity? You turn that office of a governor. Look at the manner he runs the state. You said integrity is that there should be equity in the distribution of power sharing. All you need is to travel to Rivers State and look at all the critical offices of government and administration and education and healthcare. There are people from his own constituency. So in other words, his definition of integrity is as he wishes. And society cannot be built by big men turning the rules or making the rules according to their dictate. And the worst of it all, to be honest, is that apart from the decorum that is expected of that office, when you are a legal practitioner, whether in politics or in any aspect of governance, there is a higher calling and higher demand of the etiquette that is demanded of you. He is a bencher, but all of his activities does not reflect that.
All right. So, Dr. Bwala, you mentioned yesterday, February 14, was meant to be the PDP presidential rally in Port Harcourt, until the Presidential Campaign Council announced that they were stopping the campaigns. Now, this is a state that is governed by one of the Integrity Group members. In fact, the man you've just spoken about, Governor Nyesom Wike. I'd like you to just share with us what's the status on ground. Does it mean that the PDP has not been allowed to campaign in Port Harcourt? Or perhaps does it mean that the PDP campaign would not go to Rivers State, Port Harcourt being the capital?
For the records, Atiku will go to Rivers before the election. But the reason Atiku Abubakar and the campaign took a decision that we were not going to be in Rivers yesterday was because Atiku believes democracy is about the people, about their lives, about their well-being. You cannot pretend to be working for the people and your ascendancy to sit will be determined by bloodshed, like the way Wike is doing. You have seen the other day, the campaign director general of our campaign in Rivers State, he escaped assassination. You saw the video, and in fact, the media reported where they spread bullets. That's their idea of politics. He has threatened virtually everybody in Rivers State. He has taken all political parties to court in Rivers State. If you see the way he's intimidating SDP that is chaired by Magnus Abe in terms of governorship, or APC that is being run by Tonye Cole, and now his own party, PDP, he's attacking the party. His belief system is that democracy is when look at his commissioners. Every day we hear news of how they are crying like people who are held up in servitude. So Atiku decided, with all the threats of dynamite, of bombing, of gunshot, he now said, look, we cannot afford to go. We can go to conduct the election, but what about going there and then you see a loss of lives, killings, and then a bullet exchange and firearms and all of that? You say, it is not worth what we are pursuing. The most important thing for us is that the people of Rivers State, they understood his antics. Some of them can't wait for him to leave in a couple of weeks because they know the way he's reacting is like a dying declaration. It's somebody who is fizzling out of relevance. And so you don't follow him in the same way. And at the federal level, I think it's about time the federal government think about declaring state of emergency in that state, because if there can be conduct of election in a given state because of the antics of a governor, and that democracy must be entrenched in that place, there must be free and fair. And for you to do the free and fair, if the chief executive officer said it cannot be, then the proper thing to do is to declare state of emergency, remove him, and conduct election there. And this won't be new in Nigeria. So Atiku decided we are not going to go because of bloodshed, but I give you the guarantee, before these elections are over, Atiku Abubakar will be in Rivers to celebrate with the people of Rivers State. And I want to tell you on set today, PDP is going to win presidential election in Rivers, because the people that matter and deliver the votes are with Atiku. When you call the likes of Abiy Sekibo, Secondus, Limaiba, Farad Agogo, this app and many others in Rivers State, these were people that were delivering votes for him in the 2 terms that he ran. These were the ground soldiers. They know the people at the base. All this is give out here and there. Here, look at, for example, all of his commissioning. When he's talking, there are just 3 people: himself and the praise singer on the microphone, and probably 1 or 2 persons that need to encourage him. Look at the faces of people he flanks when he's talking. You see disillusionment. Even the candidate he is moving that he's campaigning for, look at the disposition of that fellow. Sometimes when he says the things he says, the man looks somehow. Because this is not the democracy we know. Okay. Election is not war. In the next few weeks, if I have to borrow the word of Lamido, he will be disappearing into the dustbin of former governors. He will lose relevance. We have seen the movie before.
Okay. But in all of this, Mr. Bwala, a lot of people are going to look and say, you've said all the things you've said about Mr. Wike, his emotions, who he is, you know, he's not a man of integrity. You've said all the things about him. But people would like to ask, didn't your party, the PDP, know all of this when Mr. Wike was funding the party? Didn't the PDP know all of this when, as a couple of weeks ago, you were still saying that we are talking to him, you know, reason will prevail and all of that? Didn't you know all of this when you were still saying, oh, he's a man, he will come around, you know? Why is it now that you are saying all of this? But this man was funding the party at a point.
Right.
All of you know that he had this character flaws. You didn't say anything. This man still kept on.
If I have to borrow...
No, okay. Let me finish now, Mr. Bwala. I like this, your red cap today. Let me finish, please. So all of you know that he was going through all of this. You know, it is not today people have made allegations of how he's reigned so supreme in the states. Nobody called him out because he was working in the favor of your party. But why now are you people, why didn't you call him out long ago?
Have you finished so I can answer?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so let me borrow your locus classical terms when you talk about empirical evidence. You always celebrate that. You say I'm a man of empirical evidence. Unless you show me, I won't believe. What empirical evidence do you have that Wike funds the party? But I will leave that answer to you. Probably
I can answer
you will
it
deal with that later when you're doing analysis. But go ahead and answer.
You know, people in the political party had confirmed it. In fact, it was so copious that before you joined the party, the party primaries was held in the states and largely supported organizing and logistics for the party primaries leading up to the 2019 elections. There are facts on ground, and other members of a political party had confirmed it, that he played a monumental role in the party. And that's what they say, people in your party.
So if I come back to you still on your own case, that is not enough empirical evidence. I think you've always anchored on that somebody said and somebody confirmed is not. Empirical evidence are based on statistics. They are based on factual issues that cannot be denied, not hearsay. But let me proceed further with some of the things you talked about. Wike, why is it that the party has not engaged him? You see, man is a fluid moral agent. And the entire concept of democracy is about negotiation and engagement. Democracy is not one man sitting and drawing out a rule and then ordering, like the way he would want the world to look at the democracy from his own version. Democracy is about participation. It's about negotiation. So all of these times that Wike has been, for example, after the primaries, nobody thought that Wike was going to come this way. He started by saying over his dead body, will he accept to be a vice presidential candidate? Meanwhile, he was lobbying for it. When the decision was made and he was not there, he then started the fight. Nobody could presume, nobody had the celestial power to see from his mindset that this was going to be, and especially because from 1999 till today, he's not going to be the first person who lost presidential primary. For God's sake, even in Rivers, where he comes from, you have the likes of Peter Odili. If you go to Cross River, you have the likes of Donald Duke. I remember in 2006, 2007, leading to that primaries, when Obasanjo, took and made a decision of who he wanted to represent. There were individuals that made a case. There were individuals that everybody knew. Decision was taken and everybody moved on. Even if you go to APC, in their last primaries, you saw a lot of people who made out good case. And they did, even in Rivers, where he comes from, Amechi participated in the primaries. He didn't win. The walls did not fall. There was no Armageddon. There was no World War. He is the first, I make the case, he is the first since 1999 till today, who believes that if he does not win, the wall will collapse. Entire party that made him everything he is. What has he done or what was he worth before he entered politics and benefited everything he has benefited by being a member of People's Democratic Party? He owes the party much more than he thinks he has done for the party. And secondly, he was funding his interest, not funding the party. Because for example, after he lost the primaries and now saw that he does not have a stake, has he been funding, even if I have to take it on your own case, submission, he has not. So he was funding it in every part of Nigeria. He has collapsed structure. He has undermined states' wishes. He has turned the entire, because he was trying to take control of the structure. How was Secondus removed? Was it under a democratic means? And all these things, nobody will know. It's like you and I talking. I can't see your mind. You can't see my mind. But we both must have an understanding that we believe there is hope in our negotiation and something positive will come out. Why am I talking now? Because our presidential election campaign in the state was finally thwarted, even after the entire party was towing to please this man, who I believe is inconsequential to the victory of Atiku in the coming election. Buhari did not win Rivers State. He won election. But we are going to get 75% of the vote in Rivers. Because if you go down to the grassroots, they want this Pharaoh to leave that place so they can rest. He doesn't have people that are, you see, the power of a lame dog. Anybody in government, when you enter your second term and you're going, you are less popular than the first time. He has money to bring media attention to what he does. But sit down with the people. Even I believe strongly, Rufai, on the day of election, there will be members of his family that will vote for Atiku. How can Rivers State not vote PDP? That is the party they can claim ownership. That is the party that brought blessing to them from 1999 till today. Apart, I don't think there is any part of the country in terms of geopolitical zone that has benefited more from People's Democratic Party than the South-South. Are they going to leave that to go for a party that is unknown, for a party without prediction, for a party without a future? Are they going to throw away the party they have because of a one man that is fizzling and disappearing to the oblivion? Certainly no, because the people of Rivers are intelligent, they know what they want, and they know when to decide on what they want. And I am telling you, Rufai, you can bring me back after election, Rivers State will be won by People's Democratic Party and Atiku Okowa on presidential election. And I am also saying that Wike is in, okay, he said I'm recruiting 200,000 people. Has he recruited? What is the salary? What is the civil service base in Rivers? How much has he given the people? Go and look at infrastructure. Go and look at schools. So Wike is a great man in the sense of the respect you give to every other person. Wike may have done well for the party in the past, but he has destroyed his legacy. That is, I think that's the summary of it all.
Okay, Bwala. Waziri Atiku Abubakar was in Enugu State yesterday. He went to Government House. He was received by Governor Ugwanye, but the governor did not show up at the rally. There were also many members of the PDP in that state that didn't come for the rally. And this would seem to confirm the position of the governor of Rivers State that, look, the G5 is not dead, that they are strategizing privately, and that when it comes to election time, the PDP will see the effect of their strategy. Does that bother you? Because you've just been dismissing him, He probably knows something that you don't know. And then secondly, I asked you earlier on, this your Ishiagu, complete with beads and red cap and all that. Is this, a dress rehearsal for, if an upcoming chieftaincy title award for you in Igbo land? Or you just thought you should dress in a Nigerian sense? Anyway.
Actually, it's in lieu of a title that I will receive in Anambra sometime this year after election. And I'm honored to be given the honor by the good people of Anambra and by extension the Igbo land. If assuming you're an Igbo man, well, we'll start speaking Igbo and you'll be surprised how much of Igbo I know. And
don't make it sound like the Yoruba you spoke on this program the other time.
I'm Daniel Bwala. even the Yoruba that I spoke that day was okay. It's a matter of accent. So if you go to Oyo, you see the accent of Oyo might be different from the accent of Ogun, but my accent, I think, is the accent from Bodejo's community. Now, but let me say something about the G5. Look at Governor Ugwanyi, for example. Highly respected and honorable man. He received the party. He received the candidate. His governorship candidate was at our rally. He spoke at the rally. His hand was lifted. He lifted the flag of the party. Governor Ugwanyi has demonstrated how you can show protest with dignity, honor, decorum, and integrity. Governor Ugwanyi was the first to host the Southeast Stakeholders Forum when we went. Let me tell you, as I was coming down the plane, this man was so honorable. He was so celebrating me. If he was angry with the party, I mean, you could see that from his face. The kind of reception he gave the party, that is how honorable men protest. And let me tell you, Dr. Abati, Enugu will overwhelmingly vote PDP presidential. Who knows? Maybe Governor Ugwanyi is just showing a little bit of solidarity to Michael Jackson, but in actual fact, he supports the candidate of the party. Now, look at the rest of the G5. When was the last time you saw them ranting? Look at the G5 governor in Abia. Was he not the one that came cap in hand requesting for the approval of the party for primaries in his state? The party is supreme. Amongst the Jackson 5, it was only Michael Jackson, Wako Jacko. It is the only, okay, if you say you are working privately, so why are you talking? Why don't you just keep quiet and do the private? But he's still the only one talking. In all of his commissioning, he does not talk about policy of the next person he wants to take over the state. He does not talk about certain, when he comes on the mic, the next person is Atiku. When he finished roasting Atiku, he looks at candidate in his state. Look at the vitriol that came out of his mouth yesterday against Abiy Sekibo, the Director General of the campaign there. Now, I am telling you, he will regret by himself when he comes out. He say, "Oh, I would have done that differently." You see, what the power of governors is that once a governor leaves the seat of power, 1 week later, he will see whether he's popular or not. We have seen the movie. There was a governor in Nigeria that was more vociferous than him. 1 week after election, the governor disappeared to the oblivion. Such is life. When you have power, you must exercise the power with dignity and candor and honor. So when you hear him say integrity group, it's not integrity. Listen to his accent and pronunciation. He calls it integrity. Integrity is interest-based. Integrity is agenda. You see, and he has destroyed his political future. Let me be very honest. This is a man who is seeking to run for presidency sometime. He has cancelled his image in the entire region of the country and is cancelling in other parts of the country. He is the reason we have Labour Party today, because he frustrated the man in the party. So all I'm saying in a nutshell, Dr. Abati, is that if you look at the G5 or the Jackson 5, he is the only one whose expression denotes or connotes frustration. The rest are settled. The governor of Benue has promised to support us for the presidential election. Even Bode George, look at his statement. I read it somewhere. He said Atiku is the better candidate among all the presidential candidates, and that he's even faulting the G5. I mean, when we are closing down here, there is only one candidate, that stands out, Atiku Abubakar. And the third-term agenda of Obasanjo cannot stop it. The Emilokun cannot stop it. This is the true unifier who has demonstrated dignity, honor, and integrity in the conduct of the campaign.
Okay, Dr. Bwala, you said that two questions for you. The first thing, you said that it was Wike that frustrated Mr. Peter Obi out of the PDP, hence the reason why we have him running on the Labour Party's, as a flag bearer of the Labour Party for the presidential elections. I'd like you to expound on that, please. How did Governor Wike frustrate Mr. Peter Obi in the party? And has he frustrated other members like that? I'd like you to just explain to Nigerians a bit further. Then second, just as a right of reply, where you say that it was due to violence that you cancelled or in your words, postponed the rally in Port Harcourt, Governor Wike said it's actually because the PDP is very unpopular in Port Harcourt, citing the fact that the PDP doesn't care about the state. He said that during the floods, PDP and the leadership and the presidential candidates visited other places like Bayelsa and Delta. They didn't even bother to come to River State. So in River State, they have not done River State well, and they've neglected River State. I'd like you to, that's his response. He says it's a lie, that it wasn't because of violence. Kwakwanso came, he gave him vehicles. Peter Obi came, gave him vehicles. Asiwaju has applied and is going to support. So what is different about the PDP? That it's actually the fact that you know that you cannot mobilize people in River State. That's why you refused, or you have not come yet to River State. So those two questions, please.
So actually it's a facade. His statement is not supported by evidence. But let me go to the first and second, and then come back to the second speedily. Why? What is the premise of my submission that Peter Obi left the party? Before now, the party, while they were planning for the primaries, there was this internal, I wouldn't use the word agitation, but internal advocacy for the power to shift to the south, and people felt it should shift to the southeast. That started growing, the conversation. It started reverberating to the point where Atiku said to the party that if the party was inclined to zoning, he is of the view it should be zoned to the southeast or northeast, because these are the two geopolitical zones that have not benefited. And that if it was zoned to the southeast, he was not going to contest. Meanwhile, Governor Wike, who has interest in running for the president, started by ensuring he removed secondus before that time. And then during this time of the advocacy and conversation, Governor Wike ensured that the committees that were formed to deliberate on the structure of the party leadership as well as the structure of the presidential, he ensured that these people came out with a finding that would support his ambition. So they came up at the party structure level that the chairmanship, whether should go to the north or thereabout, because he was thinking that if the chairman comes to the north, it is natural that the candidate will come to the south. When it came to the presidential election, he ensured that the outcome left the thing open because of the growing conversation that it should be zoned to the southeast when the decision is agreed that it will go to the south. So, and when Governor Peter Obi saw that it was thrown to the open, he knew he couldn't challenge gladiators in the party, and so he left. But if you even go deeper at Anambra state level, you could see that ordinarily Peter ought to have been the leader of the party in Anambra. All you need is to just Google and you will see how Peter Obi was frustrated by the command and control of Governor Wike. So that is the premise for saying that he frustrated the man out of the party. Come to the second one. All that he's saying is antics. All the places where candidate visited, they were received by the governor. Is Enugu governor not a G5 governor, but he received our candidate? We paid him a courtesy visit. We had a clean and peaceful rally there without any acrimony. In his own state, you couldn't come to the state. Even his own fellow indigents, Lee Meba, Secondus, Abie, all these people, he was chasing them out of the state through threat and violence. And here we are talking about a DG of the campaign in his state. First of all, when he denied us the use of the venue, we decided to use a venue that has a proprietary ownership by a candidate of the party. Guess what? His senators or people who were sympathetic to him went and were destroying the structure. When Abia Sekibo went to see what was happening, they spread bullet on him. That is a toxic environment. There is no part of this country, even if you go to APC state, we have gone to Lagos, we campaigned. They didn't terrorize us. We went to Borno, they limited it to people attacking the convoy. But a member of your party whose entire life, I doubt if Governor Wike, in his practice of law, he has amassed up to 5 million naira before he joined politics. Everything he has, he owes it to the party. And there were people in the state that were far better than him. He benefited from the grace of God and the grace of the party. And today, he's saying he's the Alpha and Omega. We have resisted military interregnum and junta. He is a civilian. If I have to use the term of the military, I would say he's a bloody civilian. He's incapacitated. Atiku can go to that state and conduct rally, and it will be fire for fire. But is that what we are out for? How can we say we want to unite and recover Nigeria, and then we'll go to a community that is toxic, that it will lead to the death of lives? If it is popularity, let us wait for the election and let the outcome speak. And let me tell you, for the bragging governors who say, oh, in 20 so and so, I delivered this number. These were days when you could manipulate the vote. We're talking about beavers. If PDP does not get a landslide victory, Labour will get a vote, but his own APC will not get presidential vote in Rivers. They are not stupid, though. So this is the summary of it all. He is driven by his ambition. But look at Adolf Hitler. All the people on earth whose ambition drove them to the extent that he is going, the end story is always a horrible one.
Okay, Daniel Bwala, you can't say for sure who is going to win the presidential election. I will have asked you more questions, but there is no time. We'll wait till that time, and Nigerian people will decide that. And thank you also for confirming my initial premise that he did support the party in your allusions you made. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Daniel Bwala, spokesperson for the PDP Presidential Campaign Council. Thank you for your time this morning.